to my YouTube channel again. It's Kevin Cute. Well, in this tutorial I'm showing you how I got this final result of this image. So these are the layers I used in editing this image, and this is how the raw image look like. So in the group section, this is all the layers I used in editing the image. So I'm showing you step by step on how I edited this image. So the first thing I did was I duplicated the layer as usual, so I can have my raw layer separately. So this background is messed up, so the next I'm going to do, I'm going to work on the background. So doing that, all I have to do is trim out the subject and the floor separately from the background. So I'm going to cut it or duplicate it. So I'm doing the same for the backdrop. So why I'm doing this is because I want to work on the backdrop separately, and I can't do that in the full image, so I have to cut the background separately. So doing that, I will also need to have my subjects and the floor separately. So that's why I trimmed out the subject and the floor separately, just like this. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select invert, doing the same thing for the background. So in doing that, I can't just trim the background separately again. Instead of doing that, the easy way is just to press your control and click on the image on the layer to get the highlights. So all I did was go to the select and select invert. So I'm inverting the selection I did, which is the subject, and now selecting the invert means I want to select the highlight on the background separately. So this is the final layer I've got with the background and the subject separately. So I'm working on the background separately, as I said. So the thing I'm going to do on this background is I'm going to blur out this background. I don't want to see any of the, whatever we want to call it, the background is messed up. I don't want to see the rough pattern around the backdrop. So the next I'm going to do, I'm going to blur it out. So I move to the radius in Gaussian blur. So I'm increasing the radius to 1000. This is the blur Gaussian blur. So I'm increasing the radius to 1000. So doing this now, we find out that the blur on the image will look so faded because the radius is so much, and that's the highest radius on Photoshop CC. And I click my OK. Now this is how it will look like. Now having something like this, on your image will look weird. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the layer. Now duplicating this layer, which is the blur layer, which is for the backdrop, now duplicating it will to generate something like a solid color. I'm going to duplicate it till it fills up the entire image. So doing this now, I'm going to do this up to, like, let's say 10. Note, these are the steps I use to get the blur that you see in this image, in the background, sorry. So that's why I'm doing this, just to show you how I did it. So the rest steps are very easy. So these are the steps that is complicated, so that's why I'm breaking it down for you guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to merge the layer back to get just one layer. I'm just going to get just one particular layer, which is the background layer, of course. So doing this now, I just have my background layer being like this and my foreground layer separately. So all I'm going to do now is unbag the subject layer. So now doing this, now you find out that the edges are sharp. I really don't want that. I really don't want the background and the foreground looking like this. It's becoming too obvious that I worked on the background separately. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to mask the blur selection, and that's what you see in the upper layer, which I've already done before, though you know these layers are just to show you the steps I use. So this layer containing the mask layer was the one I did when I was editing the image. So now this layer, I've already brushed the layer using the mask layer. The mask adjustment layer is below Photoshop. Yeah, we all know how to do masks, so I just masked out the blur out of it, which is the sharp edges. I just mask it out to using the brush tool, the soft brush, having an opacity of 100 and flow 5. Now this is the mask selection I did, indicating that I brushed those particular areas that have the blacks are the areas that I brushed out. So now this is how the image look like after brushing the floor of the backdrop. Now note the reason why the brush is like this is because I have another layer below them. So the next thing I'm going to do is I brought the next thing I did, I brought is a cloudy image, an image having a cloud. So I brought it to this image because I wanted this to fit in with the background. I want the background to have this cloudy feel at the back. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the cloud fills up the whole image. So I'm just going to expand it and make sure it fits with the image. So doing this now, clicking the OK button, all I'm going to do now, I can't leave this cloud like this. All I'm going to do is now I'm going to change the blending mode. I'm changing the blending mode to make it look more blended in the image. So I'm moving it to soft light, putting the blending mode as soft light. So putting the blending option as soft light, this is how the cloud will look on the image. I don't really want it like this. So the first thing I'm going to do, since I'm just applying the cloud on the background, I don't want it on the rest part of the image, which is the floor. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to use my tool to select and cut out the floor away from the selection. So these are all the steps I use in editing it. So I'm just showing you again so you can see before I open the actual one I did before. So opening the one I did, which I have masked already, which is this, clicking it now, you find out that I've already blended the floor. Same thing I did with the blur at the back. Yes, as you can see, same thing I did with the blur at the back, which is the backdrop. So I make sure it's blended. I don't want any sharp edges around the ground. So that's how the whole image, the whole background seems to be like this. Now the next layer I did was to brighten the top of the backdrop, because as you can see the hair has a bright color around the hair. So I wanted the rest of the background outside the subject to fit in with the brightness in the hair. So I'm going to use my adjustment layer to create a curve. Then I brighten that part. Now as you can see the part was looking too bright, and though it's not looking it's not matching the brightness in the hair. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that for now, because I'm going to work on the hair separately again, because I really like the light I'm seeing on the backdrop like this. So I'm leaving that aside. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move closely to the eyes, because the eyes have some little bit of red on it. So mind you, the socks, the socks she was wearing has a red stripes on it. I've already used my patch to erase the red strokes on it, because the red stroke was creating a distraction which I don't like in the image. So I erased it off. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the gradient layer, which is I did a black and white gradient, a gradient layer of black and white. So I use the mask layer to brush it just on the eyes to give it this white eyeball instead of this reddish color it had at first. So this is what I did with the gradient layer. So at first, now this is how the image will look first. So the next step I'm going to do, I use my curve, bringing down the shadows and the midtone down. If you don't know how to use your curve properly, please check my previous video. You know how the curve works using the shadow, the blacks, the midtone, highlight and white. So this is what I did. Then I mask it out away from the skin, because it's creating a dark shade on the skin. I don't really want that on the skin. So the next step I did on this image was that, as you can see, that these are the mask that I did on the curve, on the dark curve. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place what's it called, another gradient on it. So the next gradient I did was this color having three part color, which I formed with the blacks having just black, then the middle having this tone of orange, then the highlight which at the end is having white. So note, you can change the color to anything you want. You can change it away from white to anything you want, but this is how I wanted the fill to look like. So I'm just going to click my OK. Now doing this, now I mask the gradient also, because it had the yellow fill on it is affecting the white. So this is the mask brush I use, as you can see indicated in the mask on the screen. So I cleaned it away from I brushed it away from the singlet and the socks, as you can see in the image. So doing this for this image now, because the gradient was creating a, like, because of the oranges, it's making the singlet and the socks she's wearing to look orange, it's looking dirty. So I brushed it out. I don't want that to be in the image. So the next thing I did was to increase the brightness of the image a little. So the next thing I did, I created another layer on top. That's a stamp visible layer created in the top. Now all I did here was to blend the hair. As I said before, I said I'll blend the hair with the background. So all I did was trim out those selection there, then I use my Ctrl M as usual, which is the curve, without using the adjustment here, which is the curve normally in the image adjustment. So I brighten up the hair, as you can see. So the next thing I did was, after working on the hair, the next thing I did was I used my frequency separation. I'm not showing you how I did the frequency separation on this video, but this is how the trim looked like that I did on the curve, and this is the diagram of the curve if you are using the Ctrl M. So I just pop it up a little, and that's how I got the perfect fill for the hair to match the background. Now the next thing I did was the frequency separation. That's the layer frequency separation using the Retouching Academy. Thanks to those guys who created it. If you don't know how to retouch, you don't know how to use frequency separation, please subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to show you how I do that in another video. So using my D and B, which is the dodge and bone I created, this is the dodge and bone I did, this is the layer. So this is how the image look like. So the next thing I did was I added my skin finer on it. You can either use skin finer or you are using Portraiture. When you are using it, it doesn't matter. So using the skin finer now, the skin finer applied on the backdrop, giving it this soft tone at the back. As you can see, it gave it this soft tone at the back. So doing this now, you can see that the background and the floor she's standing on is blended already, as you can see in the image. Now on this image, I also liquefied the trousers. As you can see, the trouser is liquefied. I used liquefy to arrange the edges of the trouser, as you can see. So the next layer I did, that's up there, all I did was I added a little noise at the top layer. So this is the part that I liquefied, in case you are wondering which part I liquefy. This is the part I liquefy. This is it. This is the part I liquefied using the liquefy. Go to your filter, you find liquefy there. So this is the part I use the liquefy for. Then the upper layer which is up there is just for the noise, nothing much there, nothing much on the upper layer. It's just liquefy which is at the top of it all. So I'm clicking it on now, and on the layer I also use my patch tool to remove the sticker on the trousers. Added noise with a radius of 2. Now let me show you. Filter, noise, add noise. Add a radius of 2. Now this is all I did on that layer. So the next layer I did was I added a sharpen to the image to add more details on the skin. As you can see, the triangular diagram below the retouching academies to add sharpen to the image. So that's all I did by adding the sharpen to the image. Now I'm showing you how the details look like on the subject skin. Now this is how it looks like having the sharpness on the subject skin. This is how it looks like. I brushed it up on the subject skin. Now this is how it looks like, and that's how I got the entire feel for the image. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe. I hope you like the final results. This is the before and this is the after of the image. I hope you really enjoy everything I did. If you have any question, please place it in the comment section. I will be replying your questions. Thank you. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you click the subscribe button and the like button because we have more videos coming up.